Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the TechIT podcast. It is April 8th of 2022. And today we got some good stories for you. I missed this already pretty hot year for tech news, I would say, with the buildup of even more tech cyber attacks, as well as moves in the industry, such as Mr. Elon Musk buying a majority share of Twitter. We also have the FCC adding Kaspersky's antivirus to a list of national security threats as part of its board. The Russian military reportedly hacking European satellites at the beginning of the Ukraine war. And the United States charging for Russian spies for hacking into oil facilities and a nuclear power plant in the United States. And the oil facility was in Saudi Arabia. On top of that, we've got hackers stealing millions upon millions of dollars in Ethereum from a game company based in the blockchain, as well as we've got some tech TikToks that we're going to react to in a quick fire fashion. I'm here with my friend Mike. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good today. How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm taking some online courses on LinkedInLearning.com or its center. This isn't sponsored by LinkedIn Learning. And I've been trying to just stay active in the community and just then some as trying to make sense of this Ohio weather again, which my
Okay.
family contemplates
Cold up
moving
there?
even.
What's the temperature out there today?
I'd say it's not even 45.
Oh my gosh. It is nice and warm down here in Florida. It's sunny, it's beautiful. It's like 70 degrees last I checked, so
But you know where it is also sunny? Texas. And Texas recently held the Cyber Rodeo for Twitter's now majority shareholder, Elon Musk. So I'll delve into that here with this piece that TheVerge.com covered, as this was broken just earlier this week that Elon Musk became the majority shareholder of Twitter, who now owns 9.2% of Twitter, which made the stock price skyrocket. Some would say to the moon. Get it? He went to space
good one.
with his rockets. Anyway, yeah, so the CNBC noted that
To Mars.
one
Because
actually went up today, supposedly.
he's
The
kind of
like called like the U Dragon, I think, is the rocket name.
Oh, I didn't even hear about that. You're
I
probably
tried to
right though.
watch it. I tried to watch it on Discovery Channel, but they were behind, so they just played episodes of bad cable. So I missed out on that. So regardless of what's happening in space, this isn't on space. This is in the United States, and Musk has made a big power play here because recently he's been caught on fire on Twitter for saying that it doesn't follow through with its guidance on free speech, which he, in a way, started with asking his followers, they're scary people, his followers on Twitter, about how if they believe Twitter rigorously adheres to this principle, with 70% saying they don't adhere to free speech, which would then lead to the following week where he buys the shares of Twitter. Now, as he's someone that identifies as a free speech absolutionist, after he claimed that his free internet service Starlink on satellites was told that by some governments to block access to Russian news sources, which he said, "No dice, I'm not doing that." Even though we've seen many sanctions on Russia, and we're going to hear more about sanctions on Russia in this podcast. Don't worry. But yeah, even though he's had to go under the hammer with the SEC and other people, this is a big move by Mr. Musk. So, Mike, what are your comments?
So here's my thoughts. I am not a big Twitter user. I know it's like,
Neither am I.
everybody loves it and whatnot. I'm not a big follower of Twitter, mostly because I don't know. It feels
Vultures.
yeah, it feels outdated.
Vultures use
It
Twitter.
feels like um I've never been one for like, hey, this is not following free speech guidelines. I've never been one for that, but I think it's a good stance to take. So I'm on board with him taking that stance. And if he's gonna make it a free speech platform, then I think that's a good thing. Um,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if this is the platform that's mainstream. Do you feel like this is the mainstream platform?
I thought people are moving more towards Snapchat personally.
Yeah, I think Snapchat and TikTok are the big ones right now. Um,
I mean, I've seen independent places struggle, like I don't know, the former president's platform, The Truth, which it doesn't put out the truth really, but anyway,
yeah.
they had two of its CEOs leave the company already, and they launched that social media, I believe, in January of this year, and it's already struggling.
I
So
think that if
it
he's
was
really
actually
gonna
it was
focus
actually
on
even rumored in March to that Musk was going to make his own social media site also.
I mean,
But
I'd be on board. I think that's a good idea, but I think if he's really gonna focus on free speech for Twitter, that's cool, but I don't think it's the main platform. I think if he was pushing towards another platform that like he said he was going to do, that would be cool. But like, how do you get people to move over from Snapchat and TikTok to a new platform? Like, it has to be the new hype. Like, it has to be like TikTok's like a video service. And you can it's just you can do so much with it. It has so much potential. Like Twitter is just
it's
stuck in the
dynamic
past.
in what it can do.
Yeah, it's Twitter is just stuck in the past where it's like only you can only do so much with it. I mean, it has a lot of limitations.
Yeah, it's pretty old. I mean, I've heard Twitter's trying to maybe do something with the metaverse, and we could probably cover that in another episode. But
Boy.
this is a guy that called Twitter the de facto public town square.
I mean, I I think that's a little bit outdated, but
Yeah,
he's I think he's trying to do the right thing, but maybe with the wrong platform. But I mean, maybe he's just looking at um the more of the population that's I don't know. I don't want to say older because I'm sure young people use Twitter too, but maybe he's just starting off with Twitter and people that are fans of Twitter, which is like more of the mature community. I would like to think. Maybe I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing words out there, but so I think it's a great place to start. But I think he needs to move into other platforms. Maybe make his own platform, make a platform like TikTok. Um,
I have a platform called To the Moon.
to the moon. Yeah, I would join that. That sounds awesome. But I think he's going the right way. He just needs uh more space. He needs to grow not only with the
He's got
Twitter,
a
but
lot of followers already.
yeah.
80 million followers.
But we'll see. Maybe he is trying to go set up that platform and maybe break into like TikTok space and all that kind of stuff. But let's go ahead and move on to national security threats. The uh the FCC adds Kaspersky to the list of national security threats.
And again, most of these stories are found on theverge.com if you want to look at these either while you're listening or afterwards to just look at these yourselves. So, this is the first Russian company to make that national security list. And as someone that used to work as a MSP or as private managed service provider for IT needs, I remember that name Kaspersky being on there as a product to maybe sell to people. But recently it's been, I don't want to say peg legged as like unacceptable risk to US national security like the FCC calls it, because I believe it is, because it is based in Russia. And given the current climate of things where the war in Ukraine and Russia, or rather the fight that's happening with Russia invading Ukraine rather, is kind of making them like guilty by conscience of what they are, which I don't blame them. It was just 2 years ago that Trump banned Chinese made apps like WeChat and Weibo to be used in the country. So it's a regional thing, but as the chairwoman put this, they said that they are pleased that our national security agencies agreed with the assessment on. Meanwhile, they also try to lock down on Chinese and China Mobile International, as she also added them to the list for national security threats, as even though Kaspersky Labs themselves clapped back on them by saying that this was made on political grounds, which it kind of is on political grounds, but I get why America has blocked them because I wouldn't use this antivirus. I use Sophos,
Yeah,
which is actually a
I
good
think
product.
Kaspersky's has always been underwhelming, but I mean, it's not a great loss if you're using that and you gotta switch to something else. It's not a great loss. There's other better software out there.
Right, and it was actually Trump that also is familiar with this as well, who actually signed a bill during his first 2 years banning the use of Kaspersky products as they had ties to the Kremlin. As it was in 2017 that they were alleged to steal classified documents from the NSA, which is a pretty steep thing to do and try to get away with as a if you're using a product that says we're not a virus, we're any virus, but also can we have your stuff?
They're blurring the line, aren't they?
I mean, we've this isn't the first time any viruses have done more than they said on paper. It was just this earlier this year that we covered Norton antivirus, Bitcoin mining
Yeah, I remember
without
it
your
on TikTok.
permission. Allegedly, you have to like go through
Allegedly. Yeah,
waves of settings to stop it.
it was pretty
So
scuffed. It was like, "Hey, this is a terrible miner, don't use it." But the if you really what did we say? If you really don't wanna, like, get into the technical jargon of trying to figure out how to set up a miner, then maybe use it, but I think it was just, like wasn't it, like, really inefficient?
yeah, I mean, I get the sanctions for other things. Like Russia, I think yesterday was banned from the Human Rights Council on the United Nations board
I understand.
as
I think a lot of the stuff they've been doing is kinda sketch, so
yeah, I heard they bombed the train station today.
that's
So
messed up.
that's that's I'm not sure how to end that. So I see more measures coming for Russia as this conflict continues, even though every blue moon I see a sidebar headline that says maybe there's peace talks coming. And
Well, let's
then
hope and pray that there is,
like I want the war to end. I want the conflict to end. Both people on both sides want the conflict to end. So it's
right?
not, don't don't bully American Russians
This
also,
is
or
Putin's war, not their war.
this
Putin's
is
the only one that
Putin's
wants
war. There are Russians out there that don't want this conflict. So please don't attack Russian citizens that have nothing to do with this. That are
speaking
in
of Russia,
America and were born in America.
should we jump
So
into our next topic here? The Russian
we'll
military
keep,
reported.
yeah. So continuing off of that, we're poking more into the Russian bear, so to speak, as
This has
this
to do
ties.
with their satellites, right? They
Yeah,
they
it's
track Ukraine
said
satellites.
that the Russian military hacked into European satellites at the start of the Ukraine war, which again started just even though that note itself is old, this update and story is more up to date. So they're saying this happened right when the invasion happened, which was allegedly a week after, excuse me, the Olympics,
Yeah, it was right
Winter
around
Olympics ended.
this time.
And this is what the officials told the Washington Post, as it was the military in Russia that was responsible for a cyber attack on a European satellite internet service that affected Ukrainian military communications in late February, and that the hack affected the KA-SAT. Oh no, not the test. No, network, broadband network, owned by an American satellite company. So this ties in a lot across borders and oceans. So the NSA continued to report on this as they're collaborating on this investigation with uh, that the Post got with Ukrainian intelligence services, but no results have been officially announced. Though anonymous officials told the Washington Post that the U.S. intelligence analysts have now concluded the Russian military hackers were behind the attack. Confirmation was even done by TheVerge.com as well. So, um, yeah, this is already more that Russia is doing in as part of their attack, which I've already seen different announcements on cyber news outlets that warn of more cyber attacks from the Kremlin and their forces. So they call it evolving intelligence that Russia might be trying to target U.S. departments now, as the Department of Justice actually unsealed indictments against 4 Russians accused of these state-sponsored cyber attacks on American software and supply chain software, rather. So, Mike, do you have any comments towards this? As this isn't the first and won't be the last time, probably, we'll talk about Russia cyber attacks.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just talking about their attacks on the satellite and the upcoming article with the Saudi plant, and weren't they warning American companies to look out for Russian attacks as well?
Yeah,
So
which, mhm.
this is a big issue. Like that, I I don't know. I would, if I was the US, I'd be like, hey, this is an act of war. Now,
Yeah,
you want them to do anything about this? Probably not, because you know,
w- we're
not
part
like
of, we're probably not,
military wide, but like you want to do something like to preventative here for your, and which is what they're saying. They're saying, hey, U.S. businesses, get your uh, get your security built up here because we're expecting incoming attacks.
right? So, because it was the aftermath of the attack that the CISA and the FBI issued a joint cybersecurity advisory for all satellite communication providers, warning of more threats that this nature could happen to them. Which that's better than nothing, but it's gonna be a point where they keep poking the bee's nest that is our cyber infrastructure, and when is it
When do the
gonna
bees come out?
be like? Do they not have VPNs in the Department of Justice?
Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm sure it's
Like,
just they're trying to just get everybody up to date on what's happening and making
yeah,
sure that everyone's, like, I remember when I worked at university, like we had certain codes that we had to stand by, and like you had to keep up the code. Like, so like we had to have every single PC, laptop, and device up to a certain we had to have a certain operating system, and we had to have like certain softwares up to certain date points. So like when we went through all the so one of my jobs was to go through all the laptops in our office to make sure everything was up to date. So maybe that's just what they're warning everything about. So they probably have the VPN set up, they have their firewalls set up. They're probably just making sure that everything's up to date, and that's part of the issue is a lot of these backdoors come from stuff being outdated. Like they found the hackers
yes,
would find uh like a backdoor somewhere, and
a
then
vulnerability,
yeah, vulnerability, and they'd whatever the OS or whatever the software is, they'd send out a patch. And if you didn't receive the patch, or if you didn't apply the patch, then you're still vulnerable. So I think that's a big issue, and like just being able to keep your PC updated or your software updated is a big it's a big boon to you and your company. So putting people just on that just to make sure everything's updated is important.
which I would. always keep your things up to date, everyone, is
Yeah, yeah.
just
You can
that's
keep up
like
with
our
it
point of
as
advice.
the updates come, keep up with it, but sometimes, sometimes you have, 12 devices, you know what I mean? In your office, especially since we were in IT sector, my official title was Federated Desktop Support, but we had, I don't know, 20 laptops just sitting on a stack on my desk. And then we had, 7 desktops, and, every office had at least 2 desktops. And, it was just, and sometimes it was like a desktop and a laptop situation, and then sometimes it was like a tablet, and then also a laptop and a desktop. So, you have to make sure everything is up to date, even if it's something that you haven't used for a while. So,
Hmm. If it's not used at all and you're not going to use it anymore, just get rid of it.
yeah, to
Just
take it
delete
take
it.
it to your IT department. Or yeah, if it's outdated software, if it's just like a tablet, you're not using the tablet, take it to your IT department, and they can factory reset it, and make sure everything's up, or just make sure it's up to date and give it to someone else or whatever they do. But
Yeah.
let's go ahead and jump into Ethereum hack. The 620 million in Ethereum dollars were it was stolen from, it was a game, right? That
Yeah, it was a blockchain game.
and they rewarded people in Ethereum. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of a cool idea. I know there's a lot of games out there like that where they reward you with some kind of cryptocurrency. But the big vulnerability here was, hey, the blockchain wasn't, it wasn't by it wasn't hosted by all the users. It was hosted by a couple servers, right? Set up
Yes.
by a company. So
It's a
once the hackers just got um control a couple, I think they only needed 50%, right, of the servers to get validated for the money transfer.
yeah, they got through the validator nodes, and that that compromise or breach rather, they seem to have roughly, this is what this piece says on venturebeat.com, 173,600 Ethereum, which is about $594 million from just a node for validating, no, two nodes, excuse me, of validating for this game, as well as $25.5 million drained from a Ronin Bridge network through two transactions to, I guess, their discrete accounts that are on the dark
Yeah.
web.
So, yeah, what they had, I think what they're saying is they had a crypto wallet set up. So a crypto wallet can be anything. It could be a flash drive, it could be a file on
Yep.
your PC. So, that could be anywhere right now. So the getting that back is gonna be an issue for them. Hopefully, everyone gets refunded, especially all the gamers that got their cryptocurrency stolen. Um, but it's a big issue, especially if you have your network set up like that, where it's only a 52% validation, and that's why a lot of cryptocurrencies on the blockchain are not doing it that way. They're not having servers. It's just validated through every person that has part of the blockchain. So, um, I would keep an eye on, especially these early companies that uh have a game and you get paid out money for, or cryptocurrency for the game. I
Yeah,
think it's going to
because
be kind of risky at first while people figure out how to hack it and how to get around those kind of barriers. So just be wary that this is a risk, you know, especially early on while everything's still being figured out.
let alone like even though the blockchain is supposed to be more secure, as they had layer two solutions rested in the Ronin network to execute transactions far more quickly and safer, but seems like it wasn't even perfect, as if hackers can gain at least 51% control of this network, supposedly, according to Sky Mavis, the one of the parties involved in just making this game happen. If hackers get at least a majority of 51% control of that network, they can create fake transactions and steal funds, which they actually did with supposedly hacked private keys in order to forge fake withdrawals. So,
That
uh,
sucks. Yeah. So private keys. I don't know if you guys know what private keys are, but private keys are kind of like a password. made for you by, well, sometimes they're made for you, sometimes you make them by your cryptocurrency. If you're farming the cryptocurrency, you're getting it from a game or whatever. You have this private key, and once you put in the private key, you can have access to your account. And so it's kind of like a password. Um, sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's like a phrase. So like um, just be careful how you're setting it up and where you're storing it. That's the main thing about your private key. So if also make sure it's long and not easy to guess. So if you're making your own, that's a big issue because like sometimes the phrase can be guessable. It's like there's a lot of common phrases out there that people use. So
Yeah.
that's why I usually go with the one that's given, or like change it to, or use like a password generator or phrase generator just to make sure I get one that's pretty random.
LastPass has a good password generator,
Right. So yeah, you gotta be
which
careful that way. But let's go ahead and jump into our TikToks here because we're already 22 minutes in, and I'm really enjoying it. But we really got to move on. And the next one's a really cool one. It's this guy that was busted by the FBI for hacking. I think was it the municipal court?
yeah, and his
The municipal court by war dialing. And war dialing is something that he mentioned he saw through from a movie, and a really old movie that's really good. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. Called War Games. At first, I thought this was another movie that I saw, but that was about hacking. But it was really good as well. I can't remember the name right now, but War Games was a movie about this guy that wanted to play like games that were online, and he found like a backdoor into like a government facility that way. So yeah, so he used War Dialing, which is just sending out a bunch of like back when it was dial up, you just dial up the server, right? You'd send out
mhm,
you just keep calling. You
oh, the
call through
modem, yeah.
yeah, the call through the modem, and just you force hack it by just throwing a bunch of passwords in, like as many passwords as you like. You create a script to try every letter of every, so you every combination basically, every combination of letters and numbers, and you force hack it, and then once you've hacked in, uh, you get a message saying you hacked in, and then so what this guy did is he made a script that did all that, and then he also had like a list. Okay, this one broke in, this one didn't. So like he'd set it up to run overnight, and in the morning he'd wake up and be like, "Hey, I have all these accounts that I can get into, or all these servers I can get into for free, or all these PCs or whatever," and he ended up, hacking the court, like, the what was it? Municipal court.
St. Louis.
Yeah, the St. Louis Municipal Court, and the only way they knew is because the login times changed. So, they arrested him before his 18th birthday because they didn't really want him to face major time, but they, you know what I mean? So, it was kinda cool, it's a good story, check it out, it's on TikTok. Um, our next one on TikTok is kind of cool technology. It's a bioreactor. So they're calling this the liquid tree.
Mhm. I mean, there's no leaves on it, people, but
There's no leaves, it's just like a
it's
tank.
it's a big rectangular, like big fish tank like thing, but it has the ability to purify the air using what was the word they used, Mike?
I think it's like algae, right?
Yeah, like components from algae and like plants matter, which
Oh,
is
I
all
think this
smart
is great.
stuff, but it's all
It's
smart.
supposed to, like, reduce CO2 CO2 emissions. It's supposed
Mhm.
to clean the air. So this is really cool. I thought it was really cool technology to include, and, I think it's just a big issue right now, especially with, like, all the pollution and, like, the I think one thing that we really don't realize is all the health issues that we're facing, and a lot of them are respiratory, especially, um, not even close to big cities anymore. Like, you can get farther away from big cities now, you still can have respiratory problems.
Oh yeah, you could be in
But
rural, desolate places
yeah,
and you can get it.
so I think it's a big issue and something we definitely need to look at and, um, keep an eye on, and
We're actually
even
gonna have
get
a
active if you can.
yeah, we're actually gonna have a climate report also on this podcast, but we cut it due to time. But It essentially notes that why we should have bioreactors like this, as the climate report feared that if we don't do much by 2030, it will have what they call it a 1.5 Celsius increase on all temperatures year round, and that could be devastating to the wildlife and atmosphere and the
Yeah.
weather.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of factors like, um, so air quality is a big one, like food quality, like, there's stuff out there like, plastic in the water. So water when plastic gets into the water, like the oceans, it breaks down and becomes microplastics, and then the fish eat it, and it gets trapped in their fats. So and then we eat the fish, and then that goes into us, and it causes things like cancer and a bunch of other and respiratory issues and so on and so on. So yeah, it's definitely something like technology that helps purify the air or helps clean the
Mhm.
ocean, thing like that is definitely something that we would like to create a segment on. So we'll have more for you that more of that for you guys in the future. But let's keep on with the TikToks here, and our next one's on air purifying headphones.
And this is through the brand Dyson, which some of you viewers out there probably are familiar with these as being for vacuums. But they've been developing this for a good while. I believe they said 7 to 8 years they've been trying to develop this, which kind of like the bioreactor, it helps purify the air, but in a more localized manner by comparison. You know, because
I
the
think this
headphones are
is
just
gonna
for
take
one user.
I think this is gonna take off, especially in, like, cities that have really bad air pollution. I think you're gonna see these more and more. So they're saying 9 out of 10 people breathe polluted air, based on a study done by the World Health Organization. 9 out of 10 people. Isn't that nuts? That's a huge amount.
Hmm.
So I see this taking off a lot in the future, especially in big cities where there's a lot of pollution. But, I think this is definitely a company we should support because they're really trying to do stuff for people's health, and I'm a big advocate of health and taking care of your health, other people's health, people around you, and just everybody. I think everybody can benefit from this.
Hmm. And speaking of benefits, from ourselves to your house, we have the HoloLens 2. Excuse me, I actually skipped the story for a second here, but we had a shorter TikTok here of a student using the HoloLens product in a lecture to just act as his computer. And it's very fascinating as well, he doesn't have a laptop in front of him.
It's really cool. I watched this and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the future. Like, you don't have to carry a big bulky laptop around.
I mean, me and Mike have been there carrying our laptops across campus just
Yeah.
to put them open and not type anything while some old man talks to us about nothing. It's great. Uh, I
It
mean,
takes like
no disrespect to professors, but some of you really need to get with it.
well, if you look at the design space, like, he has, like, a tiny little keyboard, and, like, if you sit in, like, a lot of, like, places like this auditorium here, the the space you have for your laptop is tiny like he has there in most auditoriums, and, like, you have
Oh
this
yeah,
big chunky laptop, you're just trying to it's barely fitting on the little table they provide for you.
oh
So
yeah.
this is a great safe space there, and I think it's just the way of the future. I think the design is really well,
I
and I'm
prefer that
sure
over VR
really well
headsets, really.
done. Yeah, and I think this definitely has, like, a lot of space for improvement, but like, right now, it's looking great. So I'm impressed,
I mean, it's already on a second wave of its own existence with
right?
HoloLens 2, so
Oh, yeah. There's nowhere to go but up for this. So eventually, we're gonna have, like, an entire helmet. We're just gonna wear a helmet because, like, we're gonna have the purifying thing for your mouth.
yep,
Then you're gonna have the goggles for your eyes for the hot ones.
yep.
Then you're gonna have
We need something.
the headphones. So it's gonna be like a biker helmet, right? That's the next
Yeah,
step.
just have something for your nose and you're done.
Yeah. So I think, Greg, I think after this podcast, we should design our own helmet and just send it to who made
What, send it to Harley Davidson? You mean
Send it to Harley, yeah.
uh,
No, we should send it to Dyson, we should do,
South
like, a
Beach
Dyson
Harley Davidson?
we should
Buy
do
our
design the helmet.
motorcycles, brother.
We'll design the helmet and send copies of it to Dyson and HoloLens and, Harley and be like, "Yo, this is the future."
It's
And then
like,
do a
make
little
friends,
collab.
guys.
Sound good?
It's like, we know your
We'll do a
Harley
little
sales are down.
little collab and, we're done. We got the HoloLens and the visor, we got the headphones and from the Dyson, plus the
Yep.
air purifying thing and the mouthpiece.
But that
It is gonna be BA.
leaves a lot of potential in the field. So we'll keep looking out for products like this going forward, be it on TikTok or any site that covers it, such as TechCrunch or what have you. But moving over to home security, we found a product called what was it? Based in UFact, and it's a moving drone where you can actually kind of predetermine the drone's course in your house to act as security.
This is really cool. I love this. This reminds me of like those like have you ever played like was it like Star Wars or whatever where you like run around and like there's security drones in like a facility you have to like take them down or whatever. This is
Yeah.
basically what that is. These are the security drones for your house, your factory or whatever. Like these you put in your in wherever you need to secure and they float around. They're little like flying drones basically. That
I mean, they look like small tops, but
Yeah, they secure the area, and this is so cool. I'm excited for this.
I just I see a great potential in this, even
So
though
much
you usually say
potential.
potential. I
There's
see
Oh, I
great
love that word though.
intuition with this in factories. You said that word before,
Yeah, factories, you
because
could put this in a bank, you could put this in I don't know,
like
maybe your
bank,
house maybe you
yeah,
just have, like, a mining space in your house and you wanna patrol it. Maybe you have, like, I don't know, maybe you have a safe somewhere and you just want like, put that in the safe room. Maybe you have I don't know, you could use it as, like, maybe you have
multiplex.
kids. Maybe you have kids and you wanna keep it on the kids while you're away or something. Maybe you
Yep,
have I don't know. Maybe you're just in a bad neighborhood and you wanna
you're
protect your
paranoid.
family. Yeah, you wanna protect your family or something. You're paranoid. No, you maybe you just wanna protect your family and you're in a bad neighborhood. So maybe you put that up at night and instead of like, "Hey, walking around with a bat," you check the drone. And then, like, if it's, like, just aunt whatever knocking at the door, or maybe it's your drunk uncle looking for a place to crash. I don't know. So, yeah, so I think this has a lot of potential.
Uh huh. As as well as just the needs for looking out for things. And speaking of looking out for things, cops were actually seeing. I don't know. They were trying to do a weed bust, and they found just a
Discovered
crypto
something
mining
really,
setup.
really interesting. Yeah, they found a crypto mining setup. They didn't walk away empty-handed though, because the crypto mining setup was actually stealing power.
Yeah,
So they
that
thought it was like a bunch of like heat lamps to keep the wheat crops alive, but it was a bunch of mining machines mining crypto for
the
free energy.
graphics cards.
Yeah, it's that was hilarious. Um, but yeah, that's a big issue for miners is finding a place with cheap power. Um, because I don't know if you guys know, but like that's one of the expenses for uh mining crypto is you have to be able to provide power to your system. And in some places it's really expensive. Uh so finding ways, especially alternatives like solar, if you can get a solar panel or something like that, it really helps. I think when I mine, I have to pay back at least was it a third of what I mine is as energy costs. And but my energy is high in my area, so it might be less, it might be more, who knows? But let's go ahead and jump into the next TikTok here. Um, so this is a Musk thing. Elon Musk is he's turning back the clock for you guys. I don't know if I'm gonna
uh,
use this though. I kind of like
I'm
looking
definitely
old.
not,
Kind of like
but
so he's turning back the clock for people by using reprogramming. Was it cells to make you look?
genetic cell reprogramming
I don't know.
to
I
reduce aging.
kind of like looking older. You know, it makes me look distinguished. But I think a lot of people will be on board with this. Um, I think if I eventually do it one day, maybe it'll be after a couple of years. I just kind of want to see how it turns out.
I don't.
I definitely wouldn't
Yeah,
do this right away because anything with reprogramming cells is like way more complex than technology stuff. So like making a computer, that's one thing, but reprogramming cells, that's way more complicated.
of course, and as well as like the ethics with all this, which
Yeah,
gets
is
all
that ethical
murky.
too?
I've already got like
Some gray
relatives in
water
my
there.
family. I already got relatives in my family that don't like wrinkle ointment to
I mean,
turn back the
actually,
clock.
so
Like,
I don't know if you know this, but wrinkle ointment, some of them actually make you age faster. So what it does is it tears away the layers to your skin underneath because it looks
uh
younger, right? But
huh.
it actually makes you age faster because the way your cells work is every time you copy a cell, I think they explained this in was it the Wolverine movies? The was it the chromosomes or something? It's
Well,
those
it's the chromosomes and it's the genetic code in the DNA that you kind of mess with as
it's
well.
the end. I think it's like the ends of the strands get cut off or something. I don't know. I have to relook it up, but like
There's a word. There's a word
there's,
for that.
there's a word for it. Like there's something that gets shorter, and it makes your skin actually older. So like it'll make your skin actually age faster, even though temporarily you'll look younger. So you have to be careful with like wrinkle creams and stuff that you put on your face, especially. So definitely look out for that. Do your own research,
It's
and
an emerging technology, much like this next product, the
exactly.
or showcase rather for a rocket that runs on kinetic energy.
Now
So moving.
there have been things that talk like articles and stuff about like these type of rockets in the past. Um, which thoroughly enjoyed. I think it was more than 10 years ago they did papers on this. It's just, Elon Musk, this is a Musk thing, right? Actually is going forward with it, and they have a testing facility right now. Or actually, is this the one where they,
This is separate. This isn't the
is this not Musk?
no. This is a different company.
I thought it was Musk. Oh, which they just say it's something in California.
It's spin launch.
I wouldn't be okay, it's been lost. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a Musk thing.
I mean, it's connected in a way. It's about his
Yeah,
environmentalism nature,
and launch.
but not this because it doesn't have SpaceX on the rocket. So sorry,
That's
it's
my bad. I
it's
apologize. So
so
anyway, still, it's a great system for launching rockets that doesn't use fuel. It just uses so there's
momentum.
no rocket fuel. It uses momentum to launch these rockets into space. Obviously, you can't do this with like human passengers because it would kill you. But it's it's a I think it's going to be cheaper. It's going to be better for the environment. It's definitely got my vote. So if you have to put up a satellite or something, or maybe you just need to do some maybe you have like a robot that repairs your satellite, you need to launch that into space. I think this is definitely the way to go.
And
So there's a lot of unmanned missions, and this is definitely something that's going to see a lot of use in the future.
yeah. So we'll close out with our last story regarding Tesla's gigafactories, which that was covered in the Cyber Rodeo show that he actually did earlier this week, where he launched his. We're talking about Elon Musk again, so sorry if you're tired of hearing that name.
He
I'm kind
keeps
of tired.
doing good things. If he when he stops doing good things, he won't be in the podcast. But when as long as he keeps doing good things, he'll be here.
I mean, he's done some bad, but who doesn't have shades of gray about themselves? Not 50 of them, please,
I
but
mean, like he's done more good than bad though. So
yeah. So anyway, he had a cyber rodeo the other day, and he proposed the idea of uh, gigafactories, as he calls them, to help build these lithium batteries for all of his future smart, no, not smart, damn it, uh,
energy efficient green.
his energy efficient vehicles and needs, such as the Cybertruck, which he said will come out next year in production, as well as different versions of Teslas. I think he said it was the S. They're being made in the Texas Tesla
The
headquarters.
Y. I think was it the S or the Y? I can't remember.
I think it was S.
Well, yeah, I'll pull it up.
Because meanwhile, it's for a lot of other ventures he's doing, like his bullet train like highways in San Francisco and Fort Lauderdale. I think that's still booked to happen, as well as the one that's supposed to be planned to help get people to Dodger Stadium of all things. I don't know why he was in the baseball, but there you go. We covered that one in one or two podcast episodes ago.
Yeah, so it was Model Y. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, he announced a lot at this panel or show called the Cyber Rodeo. I mean, even though I don't have the money for a Cybertruck or a Tesla or anything like that, unless it's a used Tesla for like that has like 200,000 miles on it, then maybe I can afford one. But regarding the shortage of batteries, because the sanctions in Russia, as well as the tightening of restrictions in other areas in the world, because for some reason years ago we decided to have only a few places to make everything, which we has its consequences. But I'll talk 8 hours about that. But
Yeah, and we're running short on time. But yeah, so he's done some good stuff. He's done some good stuff with the gigafactory. So I think he was talking about the 100 gigafactories or something is enough to provide power for the whole world, right?
yeah,
Which is nuts. So like that's just baffling to think about. So he's got a gigafactory for making the cars. He's got a gigafactory for electricity,
and the
um,
batteries in
batteries.
Anchorage.
So he's doing a lot of good stuff.
But yeah, we'll continue to track him on his Twitter dealings because it was actually right before I got on this recording that he kind of suppressed a guy that was trying to trash Tesla products. So he doesn't like someone. It was a YouTuber that was testing Tesla products and crashing them on purpose to show that they're not as good as other cars in terms of safety. So maybe that's a good sign. Maybe that's a warning that maybe some topics he'll not let fly under his ownership of Twitter. But then again, it's been early on in Twitter, so I won't be like anyone else in the news where they fearmonger you and going like, "Get off Twitter! Look out for Elon Musk. He's worse than Lucifer. He took down one account. Oh, like it, it's too early to call for that. We're not fear mongering anyone. We're just precautionary, as we take things as they come, unlike other people that have more money than me and Mike will ever have. But
We
on
don't
that
know that.
note, they do. Uh, but you gotta love bailouts here. But thank you all for listening to us today. As
Yeah,
we try to
thanks for
cover the
joining
wide
us.
news of technology for those that can't hear it, and as it avoids to get covered because some new court judge comes in the office, or God forbid something happens to those reality stars that you
Oh
guys
no,
care about so much.
those poor reality stars.
Like 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 I don't know, something happened at the Oscars too. I'm sorry. Why was there so much care about that?
Didn't like Will Smith hit somebody?
Yeah,
I
we're
think it
not
was
gonna
just
get into that.
surprising.
That's not
I
a
think it
tech
was just
story.
surprising because we're not used to Will Smith doing things that are not PG.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
he did the Suicide Squad movie, which is rated R, but anyway, we're
True.
getting past it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we don't wanna get into that, it'll take us another hour.
Give us a like, give us a share, and feel free to give us comments as well as feedback, as we are a growing podcast, as we are just trying to get out the tech news out to you, because support Ukraine and stay vigilant, everyone.